and then I'm going to start the webinar.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. While we're waiting for everyone to come in, let's start with kind of like a little icebreaker question. What's your favorite breakfast item? Tacos. Ooh, that sounds good. Hello, everyone. Sausage burrito, omelet, waffles. Ooh, yeah, waffles are amazing. Topsilog? Ramen with egg. Ooh, yeah. Eggs Benedict. Ooh, fancy. Fried toast sounds good. Yeah. Avocado toast. Dim sum. Oh my God, dim sum sounds so good right now. My favorite would definitely be croissants with egg. I think that's like my favorite breakfast, just kind of from eating like croissants every morning before I went to school.
This is not a breakfast food, but anytime I get asked food questions, the first thing that comes to my mind is Korean barbecue. And that's very not breakfast, but it's like the only thing blaring in my mind right now.
I mean, that would definitely be a hearty breakfast. Like if they had Korean barbecue like that early in the morning. Homemade bread. Wow. Do you bake bread at home by yourself? Okay, I think we can get started. So hello, everyone. Hello again, and welcome. Good morning, afternoon, or evening for whichever time zone that you're in. I hope y'all are just excited to learn from Kim as I am. Welcome to Early Career Success Starter Kit with Kim Quach. This would be an in-depth look at navigating early career roles for animation. And I'm going to let Kim take it away to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. I'll just get started with sharing my screen and I'll introduce myself with my slides when I get there. But yeah, can everyone see my slides all right? Yeah. All right. So today we're going to do an early career success starter pack, and I'll be your tour guide. I am the previous artist management intern. I'm Kim Quach, and a little bit more of my experiences. I was the artist management intern at Nickelodeon Animation. Artist management within a studio differs from artist management outside of a studio. Where it's more about internal recruiting or finding the people who are coming off of productions next, finding their next role. So putting them up for roles, setting them up for interviews, and also career pathing for those who may want to take a different path or deciding that they want to take the next step in their career. And this can also differ from studio to studio. But another task of mine was I also help network people. So at Nickelodeon, you also set artist management sets people up with coffee chats when requested. So if you wanted to learn from a storyboard artist or an art director, you can also request to meet with those people through artist management. And I'm also the creative manager for Asians in Animation for the creative team. A lot of the things that you see on our social media website, or social media platforms, is done by a creative team. So I help oversee those projects, manage the people there, help the leads with whatever tasks that come up. And I've also been a production mentee with Women in Animation. And so I learned a lot about production, and I find that you have so much more to learn all the time. I attend so many different talks about production. I always learn something new. And just a little plug that tomorrow there's a talk for 2D production pipeline, I believe, with Katie Gizon. Always recommend going to production talks. Always good to learn that stuff. And a little bit more on me, other than what roles I've had. So I am Chinese Vietnamese American and queer neurodivergent. I love storytelling. I grew up with storytelling. My dad every night would tell me stories about Vietnam or China. Some of them I'm pretty sure made up, but nonetheless, he told amazing stories, and I grew up loving that. And then for animation, I love animation, which is not unique to this crowd, but I find very special to me. I was in my second year in college when I was very unsure about my future, and my mentor said that I was very closed off when I talked about it and not that bright of a person anymore. But when I talked about animation, I lit up, I opened up, and I just leaned forward and talked so much. And so I continued or from then on, I pursued animation, and that's why I'm here with you today. And if there's any other one thing you should know about me outside of the career aspect, I love my dog. I love dogs. I will continue learning about dogs because I love my dog so much. I love going to the library and checking out books about dogs, dog behavior, dog psychology, dog biology. I love it all. So if there's any other presentation I could do for a whole hour, it is about dogs. And so whenever you see these two greater than signs, I would love if you guys could practice with me and type in the chat a response to these two greater than signs. So if everyone can take like a few moments to practice their intro, tell me who you are, and yeah, just feel free to share whatever you want about yourself, whether that's within animation or a little fun fact about yourself. I'm gonna move on a little bit, still take that time to message in the chat. And so if you're looking for a workshop on getting the job, there is already gonna be a chat on that about animation resumes and cover letters for internships and entry-level assistant roles with Lexi Chu. So this is a great chat, or a great presentation. I've been to it. It helped me get my first role in animation. I highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for that first role. And RSVPing is through the same link that you used for this presentation. And so before I move on, I don't see anyone practicing the who are you. If I just want to make sure, am I being heard, or people just working on it? But otherwise, oh yay, first one. Hi Jaden. I hope I said that right. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. And so I'm gonna keep on moving on, but feel free to just connect with others, view and read each other's intros and see who you'd want to connect with. But I'm gonna move on. So what this presentation is about is how to succeed throughout your role. And so right now I'm gonna talk about the first day jitters and how to get through your first day and what to prepare for your first day and beyond. And so these were things that I was worried about. So for me, I got told that I got this internship in March, and I had all the way till June to prepare. So I had many coffee chats with people that were employees at Nickelodeon. And I had a lot of coffee chats with different recruiters I've been connected with. And so I just was asking so many questions, and these were the questions that I was really worried about. And I don't know how silly it is, but I was freaked out about what should I wear. I was like, I heard that animation studios dress down, but to me, dress down means like flip flops, pajama shorts, um, like not anything even remotely nice. And so I hated that piece of advice because I was like, what does that mean? And so I really appreciate getting the advice. What would you wear to a nice dinner with friends or a brunch with friends? And it never hurts to go business casual for your first day and dress down. That's the piece of advice I got from a recruiter, to dress a little more nice your first day and then adjust as you go on. So for my first day, this is just because I really like specific examples. I wore a blazer, love outerwear, so that way you can just take it off if you're feeling like you're a little too dressed up. A t-shirt, trousers, belt, and some sneakers. And so that was my first day outfit. It's much more fancy than I would currently wear throughout any role I would have. But for a first day, I think it's a perfectly fine outfit to start off with. And I don't take many outfits, pictures, or any pictures in general very often. So this is just coming from the middle of my internship. Context is it was a Paramount tour outside in the heat. But this is what I've used dressing down within a studio. And apologies for the very silly picture, but this is the only other picture I could find. It's an anime t-shirt, shorts, and sandals. So I was able to express like what I like through my fashion, but still feel like I'm dressing nicely, but not overly dressed. And then another piece of advice is to check out the social media page of whatever company you're joining, and seeing if they have pictures of their employees and seeing what they're wearing. Here you see a lot of dresses, some t-shirts, some dress shirts, like kind of colorful ones. And a lot of people throughout when I was working there would dress to whatever fashion sense they have. So I don't know fashion terms, but there's like some goth looking ones and some just a very different outfit. So over time, you can dress to how you want. And then what else was I worried about? I was worried about what if I mess up? And I was freaked out over it. I kept on asking, like, oh, what happens if I mess up like the first week? Oh, I know everyone makes mistakes. And that it's true, everyone makes mistakes. And especially in the first couple months, no matter what role or what your experience you're going into, because the working structure is different. So give yourself breathing room to make those mistakes and be easy on yourself for that first few weeks or months, however long it takes to get you acclimated. Um, but help yourself feel more comfortable. What's the plan if you do mess up? This will help you like know that if you make a mistake, it's okay because you have a plan. And so you'll be learning, by the way, I forgot to mention, you'll be learning from my successes and mistakes throughout my role. And this is an example of a mistake. I missed a meeting very early on in my role, and I freaked out over it. I did not, like, I was just so freaked. It was the first week and I already made a mistake. And so I apologized throughout the day, just being like, oh, I'm so sorry I missed that meeting. But instead, what I would do now, and I hope this acronym helps people, is SIPs. So take a SIPs. Stop, identify, problem solve, and sorry. So you're gonna stop, take a breath, and comfort yourself. Like it's gonna be like I did someone say something?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, so sorry. So you're gonna stop and comfort yourself and realize that like it's not the end of the world for making that mistake. I missed a meeting. That's okay. Someone was there to take notes, and it was totally fine. Identify why you made that mistake. So I made that mistake because I didn't have the artist management calendar checked in my Outlook. So I was not able to see all the meetings coming up for that. So I stopped, or I would now stop and identify what went wrong. And then I would problem solve. How can I prevent this from happening again? You take a look at the calendar and you always have it checked marked, so that way you can, this is what I would do. I would always have it checked marked so I know what meetings are coming up. And on top of that, I will set 5-minute reminders for the meetings I have for the next day, the night before. This will help prevent me from missing meetings in the future. And then only one sorry, not sorries. You can apologize once for it. Say, I am so sorry I missed that meeting. I figured out why it happened, and it won't happen again because of this. What was your solution? What was your problem solving? And so what else was I worried about? What should I talk about? I am a people pleaser, and I always am trying to figure out like what should I be saying to other people to make them like me more, because I really want to be liked. But something to realize, over the years, I realized that I also have interests that I want to talk about too, and that's very valid, and people do want to hear about what you care about. So what are things you want to talk about? Take out the guessing game and figure out what you can talk about for a long time and what you can be very interested and eager to talk about, because that will help the conversation move more smoothly. For me, it's dogs, it's anime, it's other shows I'm watching. And so those are things that I can talk about and want to talk about without having to fear what others will think. But on top of that, you want to show interest in them. So ask them questions about themselves as well. Take out the guessing game. Don't be like, oh, people want to talk to you about this. But just ask them questions. And if anyone, I forgot to add little two less than signs, greater than signs, I mean. But if you have other questions that you'd love asking other people to get them talking, feel free to share them in the chat. But for me, my go-to questions are, what shows have you been watching? Because in this industry, people tend to be watching shows. And what do you do for fun? Those are just two questions that people can share and you can ask questions about. And you can just I find I have an easy time talking about these things with others and just listening. And then, how much should I know before this? Will I get along with my team? So to answer both of those, they chose you. You got to this point where they wanted you specifically, and they interviewed other people, but they still ended up choosing you. So whatever you don't know, they are, as managers, should be willing and expecting to train you. You shared most likely your strengths, your weaknesses, some soft skills, some hard skills, and they should be expecting that whatever you didn't know, they will be teaching you. And on will you get along with your team? They chose you knowing that they'll be working with you for 40 hours a week, so have faith in their decision. They already like you enough to choose you to be with you for 40 hours a week. And so this is another thing I was worried about, but how can I make a good impression? And again, you already have, your interview has had a lasting impression on that they want you. So just have faith in those around you, people that have faith in you, that trust you, that want to train you. They chose you. And so, but how else can you make a good impression? You can be curious and be present. So in a role that's completely new to you, ask lots of questions, figure out what you're doing, why you're doing it, and just as those questions come up, it does look good to ask questions. It's not something that they will dock you for. It's very nice to know that you actually care about what you're going to be doing. And being present, you can also, or that comes with being present, but also being curious about them as people, getting to know them over time is all ways you can make a good impression. But on top of that, instead of just coming up with questions as they pop up, coming prepared with questions is also great. So when you have the time, before you onboard, make sure to come prepared with questions. And I highly recommend having a physical place for them, because your first day is super nerve-wracking. And I came with like loads of questions prepared. I was ready to ask so many questions until I wasn't. I came in there and all my questions just left my brain. So having a notebook or maybe even use your phone for those questions to make sure that you have something to fall back on. And then last but not least, be kind to yourself. First days are nerve-wracking and people know this, so people will be kind to you. If they're not, it's more likely that they're having a bad day, and if they continue, I'll give them a stern talking to for you. But really, people should be kind. People are kind in this industry. And just want to end on, cheesy as it is, it's true. The best thing you can be is you. So just continue to stay true to you. And again, they already like you. Just keep on being you. And then I know I addressed to bring some questions. These are the questions that I wanted to bring into my first day. And so it's where/how does our team like to communicate? Do I need to be added in any group chat, save any numbers? Are there specific locations where I should be chatting? I was added to a lot of Slack group chats as well as team group chats. And so knowing where your team prefers to be messaged is great, and making sure that you are aware of all like the different communication channels and where you should be asking questions or just communicating what you're doing. And this is a question that I really like personally, is just what programs should I have shortcutted and easily accessible. This includes like web pages, this includes like softwares. And to be a little more clear about it, some examples are within the artist management team, I had to be using Airtable, but we have plenty of different tables to be looking at. So which ones should I have bookmarked so that I can easily access, so I can better, more efficiently do my work. And then for software that you'll be using, asking that early on to know, oh, will I be using Adobe Acrobat the most? Having that shortcutted on your doc. I just like this question because I want to be able to work more quickly. And then when I have questions about tasks, who or where should I go first? Is there a chain of command where you DM someone if they have the answer for you? Or is it a group chat so whoever can get to it first can get to it? Who are you asking for these questions, and when do you do it? I guess an example of this is my team has a lot of meetings that they're going to, especially the director. So we don't want to bombard her with a bunch of questions. So we have a separate group chat with me, the coordinator, and the assistant for me to ask questions in. So I wouldn't know if I should be DMing someone if I didn't, or if I should be messaging the group chat if I didn't ask that question. And then what are first tasks and software do you want me to get familiar with first? What can you be exploring on your downtime in your first couple weeks, so that way you can get familiar with what you will be doing? If I've completed my current tasks, are there any long-term projects you'd like me to work on? So this is, again, when you have free time, what can you be doing to show that you have initiative, to show that you have a drive to make their lives easier, or just to work on something. And sorry, I'm gonna do a quick sip of water, guys. All right. And so on top of that, if they don't have anything on the back burner, you can ask, is there anything that you want me to be learning? A lot of companies have Skillshare or LinkedIn Learning or some other learning platform for you to build your skills on. And it's not going to just help you in this role, but any future role to keep on adding on to those skills. And then what are some monthly or weekly rhythms I need to be aware of? What meetings do you need to be going to? What tasks are reoccurring? What can you be expecting throughout your time on this role? And so we're gonna move on to away from your first initial days to throughout your role. And we're going to address success in the workplace. And to succeed in your role, we first need to identify what does success look like. This will help you better be able to define success in a way where you can attain it. Because if you're not defining success is just a nebulous thing where you're like, oh, what is success to me? I don't know if I'm succeeding or not. But when you really set into words what success means to you, then you can work towards attaining that. So we're going to work on what does success look like to you? And so I'd love if people, again, when you see these two greater than signs, please respond to it. So I'd love to see some people define what success looks like to you. It can be as broad or as specific as you like. So it just says, I learn at least one new thing a day. I love this answer because of it's very quantifiable. So she can really see that she did do one thing that day. Getting to know everyone on my team one-on-one is also great. Relationships really do matter in this industry, and it's also a way to feel successful is building those connections. Okay, I see. Success to me is putting my time and energy into what matters to me. And so being able to say that makes you know that that's what you want to do in the future. All right. And I really appreciate y'all doing this and practicing this. Oh, being financially, socially, and creatively fulfilled and having work-life balance is a great goal as well. I can't read all of these out, but I really am enjoying seeing all of you guys define success. And so for me, what success looks like in the specific to this presentation is that I was able to use my experiences to help you feel more ready for your next role. So when you onboard onto a role, you can take what you learned from this presentation and use what you learned in the future. And so thank you so much for seeing this with me. We will continue to define success, but I'm going to move on a little bit on a few more aspects of defining success. So you can define success, not just an overall, like how can you succeed, but you can set success goals for each week, each day, each month, whatever time frame you like. And that's something that JoJo did actually with saying, I learned one new thing a day. So you're setting more or having a time to succeed and then redefining it after that will help you be able to attain success in different ways throughout your role and make you feel more successful. And for me, I had an amazing supervisor that helped me do this at the end of every week, but you can also do this on your own. And so the structure that was given to me is this last week and this next week will be successful if I. This next week will be successful if I is what you use to define your goals for next week. And it's your top 3 priorities for the week. It doesn't always have to be like task, but I will give some examples of what I've written in my my reflections in the next slide. But for this last week, is where you take a moment to reflect and see if you've attained the successes, and if not, why. And it's a way for you to reflect and really feel like, oh, I did that. I feel like I succeeded because I did my top 3 priorities of the week. And then pluses and deltas. So pluses is one positive thing that you've done last week. And deltas is not necessarily something that is negative, but something that you notice that you would like to change for the future. And it doesn't have to be done next week, because some of these deltas I gave myself were something that I can't change within a week, but something I noticed last week that I want to change. And the next steps are how you will work towards either changing your delta or also providing steps for you to attain your success. Like, what do you need to do to get to your next step or to get to being successful for your 3 priorities. And so I highly recommend having a physical place for this so you can, again, review it when you are offboarding, when you are needing to remake your resume, and add things that what you have done. Because this is also kind of like a little like, what's it called? A diary? The word's slipping my mind. Where you can log what you have done. And also, on a side note, if not doing this, then at the very least having a draft of a resume where you put exactly what you do when you learn it or when you're getting more confident in it. So that way you don't have to spend time to like sit and remember like, oh, what did I do on a day-to-day basis? And so I'm gonna show my examples. So that way you have an idea of different ways that you can define success. And each of these helped me feel successful throughout my week. So this last week, I protected my energy levels. I didn't push myself to hang out after work. During my internship, I had a lot of socials. I had major FOMO. I was like, oh, if I don't go, then fear of missing out for people. Yeah. Anyways, I had major fear of missing out on making connections. But if I kept on pushing myself, I would go to work every day tired. I wouldn't be able to bond with my team or with the fellow cohort as well, because I was just very tired at the end of hangouts. So I took the time to say no to things, and that was successful to me. And I was able to go into the next week very, very energized. I worked on being more assertive, and we're going to talk about assertive language a little later. But so something that I have a problem with is that I am not the most confident person in what I'm saying. So I used I think and I feel to kind of take away the responsibility of what I was talking about. So I started to use I think and I feel way more intentionally and use it less. So that way I can work on being more confident and following through. I had a task where I didn't tell till day of to my supervisor, I can't get to this just yet, but I will get it done soon, when I could have told them earlier that my bandwidth was low. But that week, I was able to let them know early on, hey, I can't get to this right now, but I'll be able to soon. And I gave them a time frame. And so these are all ways I have succeeded and felt like I was being successful early on into my role. And then next week will be successful if So one way you can define success is by saying a specific task and being able to do that task. So for me, or for this one, I am able to confidently navigate networking on my own. This was early on. I was trying to learn how to do a task, maybe my second or third week in on my own. And I wanted to be able to do it because I felt confident I could, but I haven't done it on my own yet. And being able to do that, or for my week after, my goal is being able to do that on my own. And so that's a very task-oriented success. But you can also have connection-based success. Or a networking success. So being able to meet with someone new, that was something I've been constantly told in my internship, was that meeting people and learning from others is part of it. And following up with a dear friend or coworker on her life when she shared something with me about what she was going to do that weekend, I'd come back the next week asking her about it to build on that connection, because building up connections is also what you need to do to succeed in your role in the animation industry. So your successes don't always have to be task oriented, and you can focus more on relationship building for 1 week, or networking and meeting new people for that week. And then here is some pluses and deltas. This is making mistakes with 5-minute reminders. And you can switch the order a bit. So for me, I took the delta first. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't want to do that anymore. And then I put my plus as I was very proactive in finding a solution. And so I was able to identify, oh, I'm making this mistake. How can I do better next time? I'm so sorry for going so fast. We have so much to get through. I hope thumbs up if you all are doing okay. But I'm just gonna keep on going at the speed I am if that's all right. All right. And then you can see these next steps are, thank you so much, very reassuring. And so these next steps are how you're going to implement it. So how are you going to be able to navigate networking or your new task? How are you going to meet someone new? And when are you going to check in with this person? These are all ways that are going to like identify how to succeed rather than just what I need to do. I don't know if that makes sense. But like identifying what you want to do, your success, and how you're going to do it will help you better attain success for the next week. And so let's do this together. For you guys, you will be defining success for next week. You can just put one in. I'd love to see an example from you guys how you guys will be successful next week. I love seeing you guys type in the chat, by the way. Very, very fun. Continue working on my current personal project. That was actually one of my when I knew was going to have free time the next week. That was one of my top priorities for when I was working as well. This next week will be successful if I finish my initial color layers on this illustrations. Very good, very specific, and you have an end goal. Survive finals. Some of them really do be like that, where it's kind of broad and you just want to get through it. I know I had my days like that too. Reaching out to someone that I haven't before, I love that. Building connections is so important here, and it's another way to succeed here. I really love that. I really hope you guys are able to succeed for next week. I'm gonna move on a little bit, but keep on practicing if you want. I love seeing it. I know that we're on time for the time. You're gonna have to keep on moving forward. But here are some examples of mine. One of them is a task, one of them is attendance, and another is just that recharging and just building up energy for myself for next week. Or for recovering. And then for pluses and deltas, Pokemon, yes. Oh, sorry. I would love if you guys, instead of putting in deltas, because I feel like deltas are actually really easy to think of for me, I'd love if you guys could also, on top of adding a success for this week, share something that you did well this week. Just compliment yourself a little. You can always do deltas in the future. But I think a lot of times, a lot of people need help just appreciating what they have been and how well they've been doing. So take the time to also just say what you've done this week that was great. And then amazing. Attending these events are great. I'm gonna present mine, and I am reading through you guys. I really do adore these. A delta for me was I focused so much on practicing this. I practiced this like nonstop, this presentation, and I let some things slip by. So in the future, I need to work out a better way to manage my time and still deal with my everyday tasks while also being able to focus on this presentation. But I also communicated when things needed more time. So I was presenting this I was practicing with mentors, with my supervisors, And I got a lot of feedback, and I said I was gonna send something by a certain date, like my deck, this presentation. But I found that I needed to really workshop a few more things. So I communicated early on, hey, I actually can't send the deck to you, but I am looking forward to when I can present with you. So I was able to communicate, so that way they were not expecting something from me. And then I would love to see if you guys have if you guys want to brainstorm, how are you gonna get to your next step for your success for next week? What will you guys do to attain it? Saying yes to too many things is for real a problem. I understand you. Um, I'm gonna put mine up while y'all type. But for my end of year thank yous, I plan on going through my contacts and making a list of those people. I have to put together where I keep all of my contacts and see where I can put it in one easy to read format. And then I specifically mentioned which presentations I would like to attend to for my deltas. I know that planning personal projects may not have much to do with what I struggled with today or with this past week, but it is still theoretically about time management. And then my 2 events for next week, I listed those 2 out. And then for my being able to play the DLC, I have to schedule work blocks to make sure that I can also play worry-free without having fear of um, um, needing to do work afterwards. All right, and we have so much more to get through, but I'm gonna keep on speeding through. I hope this is all right with you all. But for asking questions throughout your role, let me preface this by saying if you are struggling with something and it's taking up so much weight on your mind, do ask questions. It's gonna be more trouble than it's worth to just like toil over it for hours and without getting any help. So if you're struggling, ask a question, and that's okay. But that said, what makes a good question? Are you getting down to the why we are doing tasks? Are you getting down to how are we doing it, and then why is it done this way? So if you can get down to those like core, like if you can understand the reason why we do it the way that we do, it'll help you understand future tasks as well as remember how to do it in the better. And then on how to be clear when making a request, this is going to tie into assertive language. So one of the very first things I was assigned to for assertive language to work on is making requests. And so this is just a simple one you can start working on your own. Instead of saying, can you do this? Start using, will you do this? Can you is a little more ambiguous, and it's implying that you are just asking, do they have the ability to? Versus will you actually making requests. And I know will you sometimes is a very like, oh, is that too strong? And so another way you can be assertive with that for those who think will you is a little too strong is, would you mind doing this? And then when they say, yeah, sure, you can also add on, okay, great. What time can we work on this together? Or what time will you get this done by? So when you're making a request, making sure that you are very clear that it is a request. It's very little, but little things do add up to becoming more and more assertive. And so on assertive language, the context for this, again, I struggle so much with being able to say things confidently and efficiently. So I got the feedback to work on my assertive language because of I had so many great things. I was taking initiative. I was being collaborative. I really understood what my department was doing and why we were doing it. But whenever I spoke with uncertainty. So I got a lot of feedback to talk more assertively. And this is a slide to address that. And so confidence is where assertive language comes from. Knowing that your thoughts are valuable. When you start feeling confident, or when you are confident in your role, when you know what you're doing, your thoughts are so valuable because you have a different perspective on things. And so have confidence that you, as part of the team, are valuable. And here are some other tips on being more assertive is taking a pause after you share your thoughts. For me, when I share something and there's a pause, I freak out thinking that I'm being judged. But a lot of times it's them pondering or processing what you said. So if you say something, you make a suggestion. Hey, I would love it if we could color code these notes because I think it'd be easier to find things. Or hey, we could fix these notes by color coding more. And there's a pause. Don't backtrack what you say. Count 5, like be like 1, 2, 3, like calm yourself, do whatever calming thing you have. Because of there will be a pause, and you do not need to justify what you think because they're just processing. If they do have questions, they will ask it. And then this goes back to 6 with 1 sorry. When you make a mistake, you don't have to over apologize. You can just apologize once and share what your solution is. So you don't have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. I'm so sorry. They get it, and it is a lot of mental energy to make sure someone is okay. That said, if you do need that mental comfort, go seek it. But in general, if you can, don't over apologize because it's gonna be mentally tumultuous on you and on others. And then also being assertive comes with talking about your bandwidth and workload. So you're gonna want to tell them how you're doing. So if you're doing too much, you want to be able to address that. Tell them, oh, I'm really struggling with this and this is taking a lot of time. Is there a way that I'm doing this wrong? Is there a way that someone else can help me with this task? Being able to communicate that is assertive and will help prevent future issues. Likewise, if you have too little to do, it'll help them understand, oh, we can trust you with more things. So being able to say, hey, I would love it if I could get assigned more tasks. That is something that is very assertive and you don't have to just wait around for. And we're getting so close to time, and while we did have some assertive language practice, I'm instead just going to show you the examples I've had. So the situation is being asked to clean up or how to change up the notes to be more helpful, and then how I would have phrased it in the past. This is something I can definitely see myself doing very early on. Maybe we should try taking notes with more color coding. I just think it'll help us be able to find things more quickly when scanning documents. I don't know though. And then here are the things that I would change about it. I would take up that maybe we should. I just think, and I don't know though. And then I would just say, we could try color coding our notes. With an optionally, you can also have example of, or a reason why that's great. And then so the situation is that you're unsure how to handle tasks that just arrived in the inbox. Can you find some time to show me this task? Only if you have time, of course. Don't worry if not, I can figure it out. And so this is what I would change about it. The can change to will. Only if you have time, of course. Don't worry if not, I can figure it out. Because you're asking something and you want help with something. You don't want to backtrack that. So when you have time, will you show me how to do blank? And you made an error on a document that got sent out. I'm so sorry that happened. I don't know where I went wrong. I feel so bad. I would take out the I don't know where I went wrong. I feel so bad to I'm so sorry about that. I'll be more mindful about this in the future and we'll do blah to avoid this happening again. And then optionally, you can also say, is there anything I can do to correct this mistake? And then the last tips for success is communication, initiative, and attentiveness. Being able to communicate clearly, prevent any issues before they even arrive by communicating. Initiative is being able to take on more things when you feel able to. So an example of this is for the assistant. They did a daily agendas before, like a year or two before me, but they haven't done it for the past year or two. And so I created daily agendas when I was offboarding, templates based on our monthly rhythms, so that way they can do these tasks much more quickly, because I know how much they have to do and how much faster it'll be if they just had these templates. And being attentive is being aware of what they say around you, and addressing that. So an example is when the assistant mentioned that he tends to forget to write an out of office message. I was able to, anytime I saw an out of office message, by the way, is an automated message that gets sent when someone emails someone when they're out of office. So if someone emailed the assistant saying, hey, I need to schedule something with the director, the assistant email, if they were out of office, would send a message back saying, I'm out of office till blah, and if there's any other questions, please reach out to whomever. And so the assistant mentioned he always forgets to write the out of office automated message. And so whenever an out of office came up for him, I was able to bring up, hi, like, by the way, did you want to write your out of office message, and remind them every time the out of office came up. All right. We have so much more to cover, but we only have 10 minutes left. So if people want me to keep going, we can keep going. Otherwise, do you guys want to do a Q&A right now, or would you guys want me to keep on presenting? No, actually. Okay. It seems like speed run the last bit. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that this is helpful to y'all. I'll keep on presenting. If you guys have any questions, I will try to get to it. But feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can. But no promises on what that is. But cultivating working relationships with your bosses. So the idea of managing upwards is the idea that people like to be managed in different ways, and you can help be managed by addressing, by telling others how you want to be managed. So identifying how do you like to work and be taught and receive feedback, how you like to be supported, and again, letting them know your bandwidth and how you're doing. For me, an example of managing upwards was I love getting due dates because it helps make things that were nebulous become things that were like very present. So I told the assistant, hey, when you sign me something, even if there is no real due date, I'd appreciate if you just drop a date so that way I know to get it done. So then because of that, I was able to work way more efficiently, way more confidently, because I was able to let them know that I wanted to be supported in that way. And then scheduling check-ins. If your supervisors have the time, you can schedule check-ins with them. Here is, so scheduling check-ins to see how you're doing, what they like that you're doing, and how you can be improving. And then I have found that a lot of supervisors, or not a lot, sorry, let me rephrase. Some of my cohort have found that a lot of the time their supervisors didn't prepare anything, didn't have any feedback for them because of they just didn't think on it yet. So when you do schedule check-ins, take that as your responsibility to come up with what to talk about, come up with what questions to ask them and what you want them to reflect on. So that's things like, how can I do better in my role? What am I doing well? What do you want me to keep doing? Stuff like that. Just keep on, like, take that check-in as something that you will be leading, just in case that they don't lead the check-in for yourself. And then if they have time, also grab lunch and get to know them. Get to know them as people, and also just get to know them, maybe not during a lunch, but schedule a meeting with them or have some quick questions. Be like, hey, how can I help you better? This is very assistant focused, but if if you are acting as an assistant, how can you be a better assistant? When do they like to have their meetings scheduled? Um, do they need breaks between meetings? Do they prefer breaks between their meetings? And is there anything that is, or do they like to intake notes in different ways? Um, and then, oh yeah, here's some examples. And then with your cohort, this is very much for like an intern-based thing. But if you ever have a role where you're an intern, not every internship is the same, and you might not have the chance to bond within the studio. So make a group chat. Make a group chat where you can make plans, where you can chat, send memes, do whatever you want, and well, not whatever, but bond in that group chat. And plan hangouts for outside of work. Take that initiative where you're going to be, hey, let's go to an arcade this weekend. Let's go to karaoke. Let's do something together. And if you're remote, plan virtual ones. Take that opportunity to look into games like Jackbox, Arctic Phone. Presentation night is free, but it is some, like, you have to give people time to do it. But it was my absolute favorite night and my favorite hangout, even above like just the in-person ones. So I highly recommend presentation night and something that's fun that you can do. If you're, and also you don't have to present, like a lot of people just came to attend for fun and just to listen in. And then my note on that is don't be afraid, or another note is don't be afraid to hang out one-on-one. I had a fear that if I ask people to hang out one-on-one, that's exclusionary, but that's how I best bond with people. And if you do things just because you're afraid of being exclusionary, then you will hold yourself back and might not be able to make as deep of connections. So if you prefer to hang out one-on-one or in small groups, reach out to those people. Reach out to the people that you feel comfortable with or that you want to get to know more, and ask to have a dinner with them or to just have a coffee chat with them and get to know them. And then if you're in the office, just know that part of you're not expected to work from 9 to 6 nonstop every single day. Take some breaks, chat to those around you, visit some interns or visit some coworkers. This might be like people within your production if you're not in an internship. And get to know people, just have a nice chat. There's a lot of bonding that is like, oh, we're doing well. And they're like, oh no, the week is hard. And those little moments really do add up to becoming friends with those around you. And then across the studio, what programs are there? For Nickelodeon, it was Artist Management for you to set up coffee chats. You can also ask your team who would be great to have coffee chats with, and also very lenient, or at Nickelodeon, things were very lenient for interns. So this may be different from studio to studio, but I could go up to people and just ask them for a coffee chat. So see how it is at the studio that you're entering and see if it's something that you can do. It is very scary at first, but it is something that is available to some people. So if you have the ability to walk up to someone and ask for a coffee chat, and be sure to send thank yous afterwards. And then very quickly, rolling off, what now? Before you end, thank people around you. Let whoever you made connections with know that you're rolling off. This can be in your thank you note. I'm rolling off soon. Thank you so much for all the things that you've done for me. I really enjoyed getting to know you. Save what you can. It's like set a work block where you just go through the drive and save what you want that is legal. For me, that was a lot of my check-ins. That was some thank you messages. That was some just very heartwarming things to me. And then connect with recruiting and or artist management, depending on who is there at the studio. So now your point of contact will be recruiting to get you your next role and make sure that they know or are aware of what you want to do next. And then do a last performance review with your team and see what you can improve on, what you did well on, what they want to see you bring into your next role. Keeping in touch is checking in with your managers, updating recruiting when new things happen. So don't be afraid to message recruiting and be like, hey, here's an updated resume. I started a new volunteer position, and I would love if you can update that in your database. And then continue bonding with your cohort or your production or whoever you're with, because connections are just so important in this industry. And then this last slide is just saying that if you did it before, you did it again, and this time you're in an even better spot to do it. And then some resources a studio could give to you is that they might put you up for roles. They might send a list of names of people who are offboarding to hiring studios. And it'll be okay. You did it once, you can do it again. So if you got your role and you're rolling off, take comfort. You did it before, and now you'll do it again. And so here is one last resource page. If you guys want to take a screenshot, I'll leave it up here for a little bit. These are just what helped me. And I know I really talked really quickly for the last like 10 minutes. Hey Lynn, do I have time to answer questions or do we need to end right away?
Are you comfortable with going over a little bit?
I'm comfortable with it, but I do know that we have another like AIA event right now. Is it okay? Or
If people want to stay, then they're welcome to stay. There is another event. If you are planning on going to that event, then by all means, head over. But if you are interested in continuing with Kim and asking questions, then we can go over a little bit and ask Kim about.
all right. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me, by the way. I know so much. I wanted to be able to get through it all, and I'm so sorry the last part was so sped ran. But I hope you found something that helped you, and that you're able to also find something at the end and was able to understand what I was saying. And so thank you for all for attending and for everyone who helped me make this presentation. This was reviewed by so many different people, and I really appreciate everyone's help.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your advice and dropping so much knowledge on us. You've been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for going overtime. I know this is like definitely a little bit long for some of us, but you dropped so much knowledge during the time that we had. And to wrap up our session, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And definitely sign up and attend more of our AIA Career Summit sessions. We have the link available on our website. And please, if you are willing and interested, join AIA as a member. We have so many different events over the course of the year, and we have a great community of people at the AIA Discord server that you can join as a member. It's a great safe space for everyone who wants to join the animation industry and students who have questions. And there's just so much fun things that are going on. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Thank you.